insert. Received DCI means for whichever that we enter data, header part. That is called received CRM. Okay, so for whichever we have entered the header part, it will show you here. Okay, now either you can just start entering data and see tab. This is the only one-time entry. It will not ask you even second pass entry. There is no option also here. Two also active. Validate. Patient, site, study. Okay, if you run, it will run the validation. So this is about RC. Go to help. You can just take the picture of this one. Stab only, here only, it is showing. Please select the CRM to see the discrepancies. You want to see the audit trail, you can see. This is audit. In this audit RDC, we don't have any verification approval access. But if you have, you can even have verification approval access. So just beside that audit trail, we have verification approval, right? You can go there and you can go to approval. That will be the button, approve the CR. Approve the CR. Okay. If you just click on that, CR will be approved.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi. So today we are going to see DMP and sample of CCG, CRF completion guidelines. These two are the important documents. Okay. And CCG, CRF completion guidelines. Okay, so I'm going to explain these two. And right. So tomorrow we'll see how to create edit check. Okay, tomorrow will be the last class. Okay, we'll see tomorrow how to create the edit checks.
Ma'am,
This conference will now be recorded.
we didn't discuss about data coding, essay reconciliation, and lab data reconciliation.
This all will be done manually. Okay. So data coding will have a separate dictionaries. Okay. I think we were already discussed data coding using Medra and uh, WHODT in Argus, other database.
Muted.
Okay. So let's see. DMP data management plan. Data management plan is a plan, clinical data management plan. It's a roadmap, nothing but roadmap to the Cdm. Each and every activity will be here in the DMP. Each and every activity will be discussed in DMP. Okay, so data management plan is a plan for the CDM activities right from the startup till closeout. Each and every activity, each and every function will be discussed here in the DMP. Okay, I'll show you sample DMP. Here is the DMP. So clinical data management plan template. Okay, as you can see, CDMP template may be employed for studies using EDC, electronic data capture. Okay. Who uses it? Data managers, investigators of studies, whoever using EDC systems, electronic data capture systems. Okay. And we have revisions. See, the first approved version, date, version number. Now, again in 2017, it is revised. 2.0 is a version. Okay. Here is plan protocol. Number will be given here, protocol. So whichever highlighted in the greater than, less than symbols. You see? So items enclosed in single, greater than, less than symbols are the placeholders. These are the placeholders. Okay. That means we will replace the text. We will replace the text with it. Okay. So references to the sponsor. You see items in blue italic enclosed in the braces. These are the instructions. Before the approval, that should be deleted. That should be deleted before the approvals. Okay. So whichever there in the blue italics, it should be deleted before approval. And whichever the text there in the placeholders, these are the placeholders. Okay, it should be replaced. You see, this is within the placeholders. Greater than this. This is within the placeholders. Okay, so whatever enclosed in this, these are the placeholders, and it will be replaced. Now this will be replaced with the title. This will be replaced with the protocol number. Okay, so we have version, approval date, funding sponsor, principal investigator, name, credentials, coordinating center, data management contacts here. Summary of changes. So which version and which section affected after change? Okay, summary of revision made. Okay. And we have approval signatures. So these are the instructions. Before we go to approval, we should remove this one. The investigator, signatures. Project data manager, signature. Name and affiliation, signature. Table of contents. Table of contents, approval signatures. Table of contents, abbreviations, definition. So approval signature is here. Okay, table of contents are these. These are all table of contents. Next, we have abbreviations and definitions. These are all table of contents. Abbreviations and definitions are here. You know all of these. CTM is a clinical trial material, nothing but the investigational product. Okay, you just need to able to differentiate, cross-check, multivariate edit check. Both are same, but cross-check is between two CRFs, and this is within the same CRF. Okay. So DCC, Coordinating Center, EDC, Electronic Data Capture, SAE, you know, SOP, Standard Operating Procedure, okay, WHO, drug, World Health Organization, coding system for the dictionaries. MEDRA is one dictionary. I think we have all done with the coding theory. As part of theory itself, I think we discussed how to code using MEDRA, how to code using WHODD. So MEDRA is the dictionary for the adverse events terminology, dictionary for the regulatory authorities, coding adverse events, medical history, physical examination, lab test. These all will be coded using MEDRA. Except drugs, remaining all will be coded using MEDRA. Drugs will be coded using WHODD. So we have dynamic references. Along with the DMP, we will maintain some other documents also. So dynamic references are the documents that are relevant to the CDM activities, which are not considered as part of CDMP. They are stored separately. Okay, so these documents are related to CDMP, like clinical data management, but will be maintained in addition to CDMP, not considered as part of CDMP. But those are all documents we list here in the DMP. What are all the documents we maintain along with the DMP? So why they are not stored? Why they are not part of DMP then? We have three reasons for that. Why we are maintaining these documents as separate documents. The first one, dynamic references may require individuals other than CDMP primary signatory to approve them. When approval required, dynamic references, that means other documents may require people other than CDM, like DMP, primary signatory. That means the document need to be approved by other people. So second one, may be updated on frequent basis. Those documents may be updated on frequent basis, which would create unnecessary administrative burden for the CDMP signatories. Okay. So third, they may have document owner, which is someone other than project data manager. So for CDMP, document owner, project data manager. So other documents may have owner, which is someone other than project data manager. Okay. So these three reasons that we are not maintaining these documents as part of DMP. We are maintaining in addition to DMP as a separate list. Okay, so this section should discuss the above issues as they pertain to study external documents listed here in the table 1. You see, not all the dynamic references will be prepared at the time of initial DMP signing. Okay, so if the dynamic reference is expected, include it first in the list. Then create a placeholder in the local storage. Whenever it is available, you can update. Right. So study contact list, okay, is a document. Annotated CRF is a document. For the annotated CRF, project data manager is a document owner. Data dictionary, list of all the dataset names, list of the variable names within the data, corresponding valid values, data type, labels. These are all data dictionary. So list of keywords, list of dataset names, list of the tables, list of variables within the table, columns, okay, corresponding valid values and data type labels. We have validation plan, validation for the data, univariate checks, description of each electronic edit check, custom function, additional manual checks. That is validation plan. So clinical data review plan, EDC specifications review checklist, startup checklist, timelines, okay, any converted databases, specifications. So for this project, project SAS programmer, testing responsibilities, monitoring plan. For this CRA will be the document owner. Like this, we have dynamic references. You can see here. Introduction, briefly describe the study. So it will briefly describe the study, including the clinical phase, high-level protocol design. So protocol design components that are not included in the protocol title. Not included in the protocol title. Phase 2 to 3, randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled, like that. Okay, considering nature of the study. Okay, minimum risk study. So we should explain all these. Indicate activities for the study must comply with all the relevant regulations. Okay. So this is introduction. We should briefly introduce the study. EDC system underlying other databases. EDC system and any other databases required to configure. Describe the system proposed for the study. Which system to be configured, version number, okay, and any other information or validation status with respect to 21 CFR Part 11, whether the system compliant with the Part 11 guidelines. Part 11 deals with electronic records and electronic signatures. So more generally, describe the system: primary, information security, disaster mitigation, audit trail, okay, signature features, any other ancillary packages like statistical packages, data dictionaries, any other softwares to be configured along with the EDC. Okay. So which system, which version to be configured, and underlying database. Any other databases to be configured. Okay. Then we have network directories. Describe the security, disaster mitigation, and structure of the directories where you have all these information, study-related information. So we need to specify where you have all these documents stored. Validation process, fourth one. The univariate alerts. The complete validation specifications anyway will be given in data validation plan. Okay, so here are the subsections describe the computerized portion of edit check validation employed by the EDC system. The univariate alert describe the kinds of univariate alerts afforded by the EDC system. Okay, example might include the valid value, valid range, missing value alert, may be separately specified for each electronically captured field. Okay. It can be valid value, valid range, missing value alerts. These are all univariate alerts. Okay, you can see further examples are given, multiple choice fields. Okay, assuming that EDC providing for the valid value edit check provide a text to explain the available kinds of checks. User is required to choose at least one checkbox from the series. User is required to choose only yes or only no. So user must record coded value taken from the list usually presented on the page or on the instruction guide. Okay. So like this, we have the instructions for the multiple choice fields. Multivariate and cross-module checks. Okay. So in addition to univariate alerts, describe any relational alerts among the group of variables or among the same variable for the protocol specific assessment. Sometimes it's not, may not be, like the field may not be as per the question attributes. Sometimes for the single fields also, you may need to create the edit check. Not only for the multiple variables, but the single fields for the same variables also as a protocol specific assessments. So we can go for edit checks. So such alerts are referred as a multivariate alerts within the same module or same assessment time, cross-module, across the 2 or more modules, across the 2 or more DCMs, across 2 or more assessment times. So let's say cross-module alert could be specified on the generate query for the subject whose CRFs indicated that they were male, pregnant. We discussed this example. In the demographic, they have selected gender male. Okay, in the pregnancy section, they have selected patient is pregnant. So common types of multivariate alerts you see. Examples for the multivariate, examples for the cross module. We discussed this example already, diastolic, systolic. Okay, and confirming that only valid options are selected and choose all that apply. In case if you have an option, choose all that apply. Okay, you need to confirm whether we have all the valid values. Okay, and confirming that when you are selecting other, whether the text is entered in the other field. When other is marked, other specified should be completed. Okay, so this are cross-module checks you see. Day 1 assessment should occur before day 5 assessment. Okay, confirming that all the visit dates occur before the date of investigator signature. Confirming that all the visit date occurred before the date of investigator signatures. If applicable, confirming all the screening and baseline assessment should occur before administration of the first dose of the medication. Okay, so if applicable, confirming that all the screening and baseline assessment should occur before first dose of the medication, and confirming that recorded onset of all treatment emergent adverse effects. So treatment emergent adverse effect means, so whichever the adverse effect that we are considering as a result of administration of the drug after administration of the drug, whatever the adverse effect occurred, those are called treatment emergent adverse effects. So treatment adverse effect start date should be after the administration of the new drug. Okay, so these are all cross-module checks. Okay. And verification of the EDC setup. Once the EDC is implemented, okay, so once it is created, once EDC setup is done, once we created all these studies and all, then we need to test it. Okay, so describe the procedures, documents used to create and validate protocol-specific implementation of EDC. So we have system specifications. Detail the functional and other system specifications for the EDC system. So the project lead, manager, CRA, statistician, site team, sponsor, those are all the people will be consulted for the guidance on the development of these specifications. So what are all the specifications for the EDC? Data entry screens, annotated CRF. Annotated CRF is a blank CRF, but where we can lineage where we can show the relationship between the standard variable, how you require. Before you submit your data, the data must be according to the CDISC standards. The standard variable name will be written just before the question name, like this. This is annotated CRF. So what is the standard variable? And where do we get this standard variable? In which data set? Which variable? You can see. So this is the standard variable name. CMS category, subcategory. Concomitant medication subcategory. So this is the standard variable name. Before you submit, you have to submit with this variable name. You have to make sure that the variable is saved with this name. And in which data set is it is saved? This is a raw data set. AC is a raw data set. As CDM people extract the data into SAS data sets, right? So this is the SAS data set name. Within this data set, this variable is saved in this variable. So within this data set, this is a variable. Okay, so this variable to be represented with this. So this is standard name. This is the data set, what we have raw data. Within this is the variable. You can see. See? Sex is the variable that we require to be included in the standard domain. DM is a data set. DM is a data set. Data set name, raw data set name is DM. Dot variable name. So this is annotated CRF. Annotated CRF is nothing but normal CRF where you have questions and responses, but it's a blank CRF. We are not going to enter the data here. It's a blank CRF with some annotations written next to the fields. Annotations written next to the fields. This is the field and this is the annotation. Okay, so that when you're submitting your data, it will be easy to locate in which variable your data is saved, in which data set your data is saved. Okay, so annotated CRFs, validation plan. Okay, so these are all the system specifications, and process should be developed to guide document review, approval of the ADC system functioning with respect to these items. So the process should be completed before undertaking UAT. So this entire process should be completed before UAT. Next, UAT will be done. Each study-specific implementation of EDC system should be tested by the users, with the results being documented in test summary report. After UAT, the results will be documented using summary report. Okay, so user acceptance testing commonly include confirmation of proper functioning of the items listed table below. So whether they are properly working, all these. So add or remove items as relevant, update the details of the testing based on the study specific needs. After testing, we'll update the details. Okay, item, univariate, valid value alerts. confirming that the checks has been properly imported from the specification documents. So manually, test a subset of checks. So cross checks in multivariate checks also. Custom functions also we test. In generation of subject numbers, uniqueness of the subject number will be tested. Okay, you see, the generally subject number will be in the form of example. It is given here. Site number plus number of subjects enrolled plus check digit. You can say 16, 0 to 8. 16 is a site code. Okay, so second subject 0 to 8 reflect the check digit generated by the algorithm. So customized form or variable delivery, dynamic fields. So schedule of events, all these completion guidelines. So confirm completion guidelines are properly associated with each field. CRF completion guidelines. And derived variable computation. So whether derivation, whether whatever the variable that for which we configure derivation procedure, whether it is deriving properly. Email alerts, role assignments, data extracts, data imports into EDC in case if you have any import. System reports, e-learning checks. Okay, e-learning items are delivered based on the stated requirements, roles. So after testing, we start data entry. So prerequisites for the site data entry. Each site user must be trained on the EDC system before being granted permission to work in the production environment. Describe the site-specific training requirements. Like coordinator must have completed the data entry, query resolution modules of EDC. Must enter the test data for the demographics, AE, study termination pages. Then these data must be reviewed and approved by the managers. After this, granting access to the production environment. Okay, so it will describe the process. How do we get the access to production environment? Okay, for the site and other sponsor staff. So once the test has been reviewed, approved, lead manager will send a written letter to the help desk to grant access to the production environment. So after that, once we get approval, we can start entering data. Clarify that the data will be entered by the trained site person as opposed by the external individuals, such as data coordinating center persons. Specify which fields will be double entered in EDC. So for the most part, data entered into EDC system are based on the source documentations. Okay, so some cases where the EDC will be used as an initial record, means direct entry into EDC system. No source documentation. So GCP require that these items will be identified in the protocol for which no source directly entered into EDC system. The data entry guidelines. So sometimes there may be inbuilt in system resources, or you may have any documents. Describe the documents or in system resources that will be developed to help users during the data entry process. So describe where do we find this resource? So in which location, which URL, which functional area within the EDC, where we get the electronic like completion guidelines, CCG, CRF completion guidelines. Data security. Detail here the procedures, methods to be used to ensure data security. Examples include individual user accounts with role-based data management access privileges, website security technologies, database access security. And data quality process. So describe the QC process to be employed. Such procedures may include inbuilt procedures of EDC system, such as automated checks. To ensure, manually enter subject numbers confirm. 2. Study define site and subject format. Okay. More manual checks may include strategies like developing the SAS code to ensure right numbers of the entries. So describe which quality, like what are all the procedures to be employed for the quality control. So next we have query generation. EDC generated queries, manual queries. So summarize how the queries are generated within the EDC system, such as those should result from the automated edit checks. So how the user is alerted, allowed, if applicable, to make the correction. Alternatively, override the alert along with the rationale for overriding alert. So some data fields may require the correction. So describe which role is tasked with this reviewing overrides in case of any override. Manual queries are nothing but queries which are issued by the data coordinating center staff, means CDM staff, data managers, coordinators, research associates. Okay, the staff referred to as manual queries. So any queries issued by the DCC staff are referred as manual queries. In this section, explain how the manual queries are generated, tracked to the resolution, including whether such queries are tracked into EDC system. Manual queries are used in the cases where the data issue is sufficiently complex, which require human judgment. You see the examples. So there may be misspellings that hinder the medical coding. You can see example. We have a logic check between free text field. Okay, would not be practical because of human interpretation. Human interpretation required to understand the relationship between high blood pressure on one form, hypertension on other form. This required human interpretation, manual queries to be generated to understand the relationship between fields like these. So how to load the electronic files will be described here. Describe how electronic data files are generated outside the EDC system will be integrated with EDC database, like lab database, pharmacokinetics data. So which are generated at offsite facilities. And detail how often the transfer will take place, whether transfer will be cumulative, incremental, in which electronic format the transfer will be provided, how transfers will be lodged, documented, indicate whether data is integrated directly into database, okay, stored on the network share for the later processing. Okay, you can see the table here. Whatever the electronic files to be loaded, it will be like this. Hematology, CRF page you can see, data source and format, frequency of transfer and location. Whether it is cumulative or incremental, instructions. Like this, we'll have list of all the files to be loaded electronically. So we can maintain the lab ranges. In Oracle Clinical also, we can maintain lab ranges. Okay, tomorrow I'll explain with one example. Okay, so process for receiving using laboratory issued normal range data. So lab normal data will be collected from each site central lab if necessary for the study. So those data will be included in multivariate checks to identify the significant values. Okay, so it will be collected from each site as part of each subject CRF. Medical coding. Which dictionary to be used for the adverse effects? Medical coding instructions also will be given here. Which dictionary to be used for the adverse events coding? Which dictionary to be used for the drug coding? So medical coding summarize the tools, methods, conventions. But this study regarding the medical coding is a process. You know what is medical coding? Deducting the text to simple form, predefined dictionary. Okay, coding is used to derive standardized terminology for the adverse events, descriptions, medications. So specify the coding dictionary version. Okay, level down to which coding, to which the coding will be done. Okay, tabular summary by data type. Describe how often medical coding for the new and updated events will occur during the course of study. So sometimes it may be helpful to schedule the interim reviews of the medical coding. The final review of coding must be performed before the database lock. So adverse event, medical dictionary coding. Each reported adverse events, medical medications will be assigned. Both system coding symbol, term, MEDRA body system value, like nervous system disorders, gastrointestinal disorders, like that. In case, if automated software package is used to facilitate coding, describe that package. Mostly automated will be there. So MEDRA coding dictionary will be attached to the database. If you just click on that, it will be navigated to the dictionary only. From there, you can directly code. So describe the package, how it will be used in conjunction with manual coding process. Okay, so this is particularly relevant for the coding adverse events that fail to provide direct match between verbatim preferred terms. You know, we have manual and we even have automated coding terms. Example, the coding program may be employed to map each verbatim term in the specified CRF field, standard term, or its synonym listed in the existing dictionary. So a coding rule is a specification that the map verbatim term to standard term. Generally, whenever you enter verbatim, it will get auto-coded to standard term. If not, we need to involve and we need to search within the dictionary and we need to code. If it is fail, if the coding rule is fail to match the verbatim term with the dictionary term, we need to code it. That is manual coding. Coding specialist under the direction of lead managers may review the dictionary entries, related information, then they will code. Okay. So for the medication coding, which dictionary to be used? Mostly we use WHODD, World Health Organization Drug Dictionary. Same auto coding, manual coding explained there. EDC exported database. So detail the scope, frequency, and the format of data exports from the EDC system. Explain how predefined custom exports will be created and handled. It is necessary to transfer.
Uncle, I just have a doubt. For the Metra and the WHO drug, are you going to upload it in the database?
Yes, mostly. In
Okay.
our Oracle Clinical, it is not there because Oracle Clinical use TMS. thesaurus management system.
Okay.
Okay, mostly it will be loaded in the system itself. I'll show you. Just remind me tomorrow. I'll show you with Argus safety better how the MEDRA and medical code, like how the MEDRA and WHODD loaded in the Argus safety. Argus safety is the another database, which is Oracle database only. Because Oracle Clinical use TMS, Thesaurus Management System. That is also coding dictionary. We have a separate module for that. But how this, usually most of the companies using MEDRA, WHODD. How they will be loaded with the database, tomorrow I'll show you. Okay, but just remind me before the class or after the class so that I can show you coding.
Is the TMP and CCG given by the sponsor itself?
Mostly these two will be created by the clinical data managers or lead managers, not by the sponsor.
Okay.
Okay, sponsor may be the approval signatory. This is only for the DMP, not even for the CCG.
Okay. Yeah.
So these two will be created by CDM, clinical data managers. So we have exported databases. EDC exported database, the scope, frequency, format of data exports from the EDC. How frequent that you want. So how to transfer the data in a predefined data set format. Mostly we have data extracts. Tomorrow I'll show you one. From the Oracle Clinical, we can extract the data to SAS systems. Okay. Just tomorrow recall this coding. Export, extract the data. I'll show you one lab range, how to create the lab range, how to assign to the site. That's what I did.
Chandra, you even told about the metadata rave.
Rave, I will provide you the document, Likita. So you can just go through that one. Okay, I will send you. Not only Rave, I'll send you few extra PDFs also for the Cdm guidelines and some extra notes that I have. I will send you tomorrow. I'll send you along with the resumes and questions, interview questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So just highlight these points, recall these points tomorrow. I'll explain them.
Unmuted.
It also indicated discrepancy, ma'am.
Now I'll show you. Yeah, indicated discrepancy also, you can just remember. Do one thing, when you're practicing, try to enter the data in the adverse effects so that you will get to know how indicated discrepancy created.
Okay.
Okay. So we have, for the adverse effects, we have indicated discrepancy. In your study also, you have that. Just try to enter adverse effects data, adverse effects module data, so that indicated discrepancy will be created. Anyway, I'll show you once tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, if this time is not sufficient tomorrow, we'll extend to day after tomorrow also. No worries. Okay, so these are the reports. List of reports anticipated to be generated. Okay, so additional reports also may be based on the requirement. So coding report, queries, override report for the EDC. So this is reconciliation process explained here. How the reconciliation done, who will do that, what are all the fields to be reconciled. The section should explain the process, specific details to be used in the reconciling safety and clinical database. So safety database may be a separate database used to hold emerging serious adverse effects. They arise during the conduct of study. Okay. At intervals during the study or at the end of the study, two databases must be reconciled to ensure all the information has been appropriately captured, reported to the IRB, regulatory authorities, and specify here are the milestone events, basic frequency during the study conduct, at which the reconciliation will be done. Who will do that? At which frequency, at what frequency the reconciliation will be done? What are all the fields to be compared? Okay. How to handle in case if you have any discrepancy between database. Okay, which database needs modification? That should be clearly identified in the section. If reconciliation is not required, please indicate not applicable for the study. Okay. Any changes to the production EDC? So once you have production environment EDC, in case if you have any changes, how to make the changes to production EDC. Instructions will be there. Database closure. Okay. Database closure. And before closing, what are all the checks? You know the pre-closure checks already. Okay. In quality assurance, audit, lock. So describe the QA process to be employed during the study conduct to ensure data quality, like monitoring, site monitoring. Specify QA procedure after study conduct to be performed to ensure all the possible errors are detected, corrected before the final log. Okay, example is given. Explain how approval for the final log will be sought and documented. How log will be achieved at the database level. If the separate soft lock takes place before the final lock, describe how two events will take place. How the soft lock is different from hard lock. In case of any unlock, unlock should only occur in extraordinary circumstances. So generally, once you lock, companies will not prefer to unlock. Unlock means hard lock. Explain the conditions necessary to justify the unlock. Archiving and final material to sponsor. Data archiving, final material to sponsors. Okay, so this is DMP. Once again, go through the entire DMP. Okay, so I'll send you the CCG also with this email. So just go through the CCG, especially last CRF completion guidelines we have, but you just go through last few pages. These guidelines, you see. These are all just general instructions, how to, standards, guidelines, and implementations, format, content, all these explained. In the last few pages, here you can see. So how instructions look, this is the example CRF guidelines. See. So this is the example instructions, general instructions. Okay, and all the, for each and every field you have the guidelines. How center number to be collected, initials, ID, data fields, see? Date fields, correction of mistakes, demographics, relevant history. Within this, each question, how each question to be collected, substances, risk of pregnancy. Within this, each section to be, see, vital signs. What are all the permissible range, and what are all the units to be used. See, completion, medicines and therapies, adverse effects, inclusion, exclusion. See, all these, each field instruction will be there. Those are all CRF completion guidelines. Go through this one. Mostly by reading, you'll understand this last few pages. Okay, so
Uh,
page number
I
20.
have a doubt, Chandrakala, like CCG would be given for every project.
Every project, it's a CRF specific. Generally,
So,
development will be done parallel to the CRF design itself. While
is it a
designing CRF,
protocol?
parallelly we design the uh, guidelines also. Those are all protocol consistent only. CRF anyway
Oh,
protocol consistent, right? Along with the
oh,
after completion of protocol, after developing the protocol, CRF will be done. CRF design will be done. Okay,
okay,
so along with the CRF design, we can start developing CRF completion guidelines also. After that, or parallelly, that will work.
okay. And I have one more doubt. In case of a QA audit, uh, in the previous document, in case of the QA audit, are we supposed to lock it after doing the sample reconciliation again, just to make sure that all the discrepancies are corrected?
That's the reason we do soft lock before we go to final lock. Okay,
Yeah,
soft lock is just to make sure that before we
yeah,
go to final lock, you will not find any discrepancies or edit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My question was, we query the site only if we have discrepancies, right? And those discrepancies would only be identified by by sample reconciliation. So my doubt was, are we supposed to run the sample reconciliation again to check that the queries are verified? I mean, they're corrected.
No, no. What is sample reconciliation? Likita?
Uh, the shipment which we are getting, the lab values which are getting, and which are being entered in the CRF, both are same.
Uh, that means you mean to say external data reconciliation, SI reconciliation, right?
Yes.
Okay. So not only those discrepancies, right? We have normal discrepancies also. Okay. Only in terms of reconciliation that you are asking.
Yeah. Just
Now,
to check whether the discrepancies are being corrected, are we supposed to run it a second time?
yes. After that, we need to again cross check. Right.
Okay.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So we'll connect tomorrow then. Okay. Meanwhile, go through the instructions, CCG instructions.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Likita, can you ping me? You're welcome. Can you ping me in WhatsApp once?
Yeah, surely, Chandrakala.
Yeah, thank you.
Same time tomorrow?
Uh, Pardon?
Are we meeting at the same time tomorrow?
You can continue this time also, Rose. You can
Thank you.
continue the same session. Yeah, you have backup session now.
Okay, thanks. Bye bye.
Yeah, వచ్చేయండి వద్దు. Hi, Saki.